Welcome, everyone. My name is Suzie Wagner, and also with us is Holly Hammond, and we are going to be presenting to you today a whole lot of information about short-term training opportunities and alternative career pathways. We'd like to start with just a little bit of housekeeping here. We know some folks who've joined this session are interested in closed captioning, so that is available for this session. There will be a link posted in the chat feature that you can click on to access that closed captioning. We would also really like to know a little bit more about who is joining us today. So if you could take a moment, this is also a great practice for pulling up the chat and getting comfortable with it. We'd love to know who's here. Are you a student? If so, what school are you from? What grade are you in? If you're a parent or guardian, here for information for your child, knowing that child's school and grade, or if you're a parent or guardian looking for some opportunities for yourself, a little bit about that would be super helpful. We also know that there were some college or career access professionals who signed up. So we'd love to know what organization you're from, your role, and if, just a little tiny bit about what you're hoping to gain from the session can really help us shape the presentation to meet your needs. While you're doing that, a couple of notes. This session is being recorded and it will be shared on our webpage. But don't worry if you are one of those camera shy people out there, this recording is going to be in speaker view. So your image will not be shared unless at some point you were to unmute, then you would be that speaker view and would show. So feel free to keep your cameras on. If you're comfortable with that, it helps Holly and I see you and better gauge your reactions to the information and tailor things to you. All attendees should be muted automatically. If you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat. Comments too are welcome. Holly and I are going to do our best to monitor that chat, respond to questions both in writing and verbally if it seems like something that would be really helpful for the group. We also are hoping to have some time at the end of session for additional questions. Okay. Thank you so much, and let's move on. So a little bit of fun to get started, because often one of the things that we hear is that thinking about training post high school can bring up a lot of different feelings. So we're wondering how folks are feeling today as we're getting started on this topic. So on a scale of cat, how are you feeling today? So take a look, apprehensive, excited, a little overwhelmed, whichever number feels like it best corresponds with how you're feeling. Feel free to type it in the chat. That can also help us gauge how to best serve you. And we're hoping by the end of this presentation that maybe we'll have a bunch of fives. Maybe you'll transition. You've got this, you know the information, feeling good about it, nothing to worry about. I will say that while I'm speaking right now, I can't see the chat, but once I turn it over to Holly, I'll have a better idea of what we might have coming in.
We have we have a couple of fours.
Oh, good. Yep. Oh, yep. A little like, oh, this is a lot. Yep. We'll see where this goes. Great. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. So here we go, deep diving into what we're going to be covering today. Holly and I both work for VSAC. We're part of the EOC and talent search program. So we're going to tell you a little bit about that because we may be able to help you after this presentation with more support. We're going to cover topics like choosing the right program for you because the right training for you is tailored to you and your individual needs and goals. We're going to talk about the many different types of short-term training that are available both while someone may be in high school and also the many post-high school opportunities that are out there. And many of them that we're covering are focused specifically on opportunities here in Vermont. We're going to dig a little bit deeper and cover a variety of examples of different types of certificate and training programs that are available to you. to help you really understand what is out there, some of the different opportunities. After that, we're going to talk about money, the funding that is available both through VSAC and through a number of our partner organizations to help make higher education, whatever that might be for you, attainable. And then again, questions and answers at the end to make sure that you're getting all of the information that you need. Okay. All right, so here's a little bit about our programs. So again, my name is Suzie Wagner. I work for VSAC. Our program is called EOC, or Educational Opportunity Center. This is a federally funded TRIO program that's specifically designed to serve adults. We also work with some high school seniors who do not yet have a 4-year degree post-high school. So that's a lot of people. We help them with reaching their educational goals, whatever that might be. There are 7 of us around the state, so we cover every county. And our focus is primarily on people who are first generation and or low to moderate income, or who have different things that have gotten in the way of being able to continue their education after high school. We work with people from a lot of different backgrounds with a lot of different goals and needs. And now I'll turn it over to Holly. Oh, Holly, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I'm Holly Hammond, and I work for the VSAC Talent Search Program. So the Talent Search Program is a part of a bigger national TRIO program serving middle school and high school students throughout the state of Vermont. We have about 16 counselors in 2 different programs. There's Talent Search and there's Gear Up, and students can apply to be a part of the program with the similar criteria as Suzie mentioned with the EOC program, students who are first generation to go to college. Although, and there's an income threshold as well, although we do provide workshops for all families in Vermont, specifically and mostly around financial aid, availability, and we do that in every school throughout the state. So that is the Talent Search Program, and we will be putting our emails into the chat at some point toward the end, and welcome you to contact us if you want any more information about these programs. So we're starting here with this resource, launching into our content with this resource called the McClure Credentials or Value, or the McClure High Paying Careers and Pathways for Vermonters. This is just an amazing resource, and I'm going to link it in the chat right now. I have the link right here. If you want to go ahead off and see the brochure that lists jobs that are promising jobs for Vermonters. So we're starting here just because, again, it's a compiled resource for you to look at, to see what is up and coming in the state of Vermont, what prospects are out there, and how, and we want you to think about like how that will connect with you. I know there are many professionals on this in this session, and so please feel free to add anything you want to the chat, or at some point if you want to contribute anything. But the place we usually start when we're thinking about careers and how to match ourselves with careers usually is about asking ourselves questions, right? Like asking ourselves what makes sense for me, and how do you know that? So we're going to start with this little poll. Do you see the poll? The question in the poll is, what area best describes you? Does everybody see the poll? Can somebody chime in?
I can see it here, Holly. It popped up for me.
Thank you. So if you could all just weigh in here as to what area best describes you. Are you into building and using your hands, creative, artistic? Are you a person who likes to help other people? Are you somebody who's really good at organizing and likes details? Are you really good at talking to other people, persuading other people? Or are you more scientific and looking at investigating things and how they work? Great. You wish you had more than one answer was possible. Absolutely. Nobody's just one thing. It is hard to pick one. That's for sure. And this, I'm just showing you, many of you on this call do know that there are so many tools out there to help a person understand what it is that they're best suited for. So we can move to the next slide. So we had a good spread of people in different areas, but yes, so you see we have a lot of the helping and the social, but we have quite a few of investigative people and people into research and science but this is a good place to start. Okay, what is best for me? So if you're working with somebody, working with a student, thinking yourself what makes sense, then you have to ask yourself these questions. But certainly there's a way to get to these results. And we can go to the next slide, Suzie. Again, asking yourself questions and understanding, this is the place to start. I mean, we're talking about short-term training programs here, but really the idea is to understand what is going to best suit the individual that you're either working with or yourself. And what we're trying to do is get people in our work, Suzie and I, and VSAC, is getting people to ask themselves questions and understand where that sweet spot is in the middle, where you're going to have a career or a job that you enjoy, that you feel like you want to go to every day, because we spend so much time at our work that it makes sense to use this as a starting place. Assessing what our strengths are, identifying what our preferences are and our values, and then jumping into the research. What is out there that matches who I am? So that's our starting point for all of this. We can go ahead to the next slide. And we wanted to use this as a launching point. People have many different launching points when it comes to the research part. We're using My Future Vermont as the launching point because it's actually a new tool that has recently been launched, and we feel like it's pretty effective as a starting point. Again, when I say starting point, I mean, where is one place you can go to get many different resources all in one site? And that's what this My Future Vermont website and organization Advanced Vermont is trying to do. It's trying to be a clearinghouse. It's trying to be a resource, and it's putting together information for you in one spot. So we wanted to highlight it, and we also wanted to show you that on this site you can link to assessments where you can ask yourselves the deeper questions. And again, the professionals on this session know well these different assessments. So here is a page. If you go to that Get Started, here is a page that again brings you to those categories that you just chose, but it brings you there through a deeper look and a deeper dive and a deeper assessment. So there's many different assessments that can have you look at your sort of personality type, and assessments that will help you understand what your interests are. And then after that, they match you with careers that are possible careers that you might want to consider, because they're based in the information you gave this database so they can determine. So this is a good starting point, I believe. This My Next Move is on here through the ONET, My Future Vermont. And again, it's a new resource, so please spend some time and look at it. We want to also let you know that throughout this presentation, Susie and I will be telling you about multiple resources that are out there. Basically, the goal here is to hope that you find something that you didn't know about before that can help you or help you with your work and steer you in a direction that you want to go. And our final slide will be a resource page that will link to most of these resources that we're talking about. So we don't expect you to be writing them down or clicking on them every minute, but because we have it all at the end in our resource page. Okay. So I specifically work with the middle school and high school students in Vermont. And so I'm going to highlight a few of the opportunities, the amazing opportunities that are out there for current high school students. Many of you have heard about early college, and that is a chance for students who are high school juniors to apply to do their senior year of high school at a Vermont State College, or one of the colleges is in Vermont involved in the early college program, and to complete their senior year of high school and their first year of college, earn a whole year of college credit for free. That's the early college program, and an amazing opportunity for the right student. And again, I'm talking about, this is college we're talking about, but in a minute, I'll tell you about an early college program. And I see Sarah Kresser's on this call, or in this Zoom session. Sarah is a part of the Early College Plus program. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Dual enrollment is another program available to Vermont students where they can earn college credit while in high school. And we're going to talk a little bit too later about how credentials can build upon, like college courses can help you get a certification that can help you get maybe an associate's degree. And so these things all are great for students to have in their toolkit, that they can put on their resumes, that they can sort of get an idea of what they're interested in and what might want to pursue in the future. And of course, our career and tech ed certifications, they offer, our career and tech ed programs around the state of Vermont offer high school students a chance to get job ready, career ready credentials right in high school, while they're in high school. So they end up graduating from high school with specific certifications, trainings, and being career ready. So you can get these amazing opportunities free in high school. And then there's the pre-apprenticeship route. So Susie's going to talk in a minute about apprenticeship programs, but our career and tech ed centers really can help students get ready to launch right into apprenticeship programs. Every career and tech center across the state has different programs that you can get involved with, but they all are very good at helping students who want to go right into an apprenticeship program and become an electrician or become a plumber. And you can start that while you're in high school. So Early College Plus, we want to bring attention to this program because it's a new program that started, I think, last year. And it's the early college program that I just described in the previous slide with additions. So the additions are that they allow students, this program, a student has to apply to the program. in their junior year of high school, and they apply to a certain type of program that offers a certificate. So this is the early college program at CCV only. You apply and you can get a certificate in one of 5 programs. And you also get $1,000 stipend that will cover the cost of books and fees. And we have a person who will help support students through the program. So this is an incredible new opportunity that's through the Community College of Vermont, where students can earn a year's worth of college credit in their senior year while finishing their high school credit requirements, and earn a certificate, a career-ready certificate in one of 5 areas. And the areas are IT, tech assistance, graphic design, web design, and Sarah, are you on this call?
Yes.
Do you want to describe the 5 programs?
Absolutely. You were doing a great job. I do them in alphabetical order so I can remember them. So this coming year, we will have a childcare certificate, which feeds into the early childhood education program. We have cybersecurity fundamentals, digital media production, graphic design, and as you were saying, IT service desk specialist. So yeah, those 5 programs all, you can earn a certificate, a workforce ready certificate from CCV in your senior year. Yeah, thanks for the plug.
Yes,
it's a great opportunity for our students.
I'm really happy you were here to fill us in. So thank you so much. Amazing opportunity. Free plus $1,000 stipend to the students who apply.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, and people certainly can, if you have any questions about it, we can.
Wonderful.
I'll put my address in the chat as well.
Thanks, that would be great.
Thanks, Sarah. That's wonderful. All right, so I'm going to jump in and talk about a few of the programs that are out there post high school. As Holly mentioned, many students do participate in some pre-apprenticeship, like a formal pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship preparation courses while they're in high school. Post high school, Vermont has a robust apprenticeship program. I think many people often don't realize, but it's really interesting in a couple of different ways. Right now, there are nearly 700 active apprenticeships in Vermont. So that's individuals who are part of an apprenticeship program. And those represent over 25 different occupations. So many people think of apprenticeship, for example, as the classics. And we have those: electrician, plumbing, for example, HVAC. But over the last 10 years, there's been quite a transformation in Vermont to make a number of different occupations apprenticeable. So, for example, childcare is now an apprenticeable occupation in Vermont. I love bringing up childcare as an example because it is a career pathway that people can approach a number of different ways to best match their individual needs and learning styles. So apprenticeship in Vermont can be approached a number of different ways, and we have a group of organizations that are all partners in this. Many people are aware of the Vermont Department of Labor's apprenticeship program, which is part of their workforce development division. And when you receive our resource page after the presentation, or if you get this slideshow, these are all hyperlinked for further research. So the Vermont Department of Labor's website has a lot of information that you can dig down through, or phone numbers where you can call them and talk with somebody about apprenticeship. Vermont Technical College and Community College of Vermont are the big educational partners for apprenticeship. They also, on their web pages, have some great information. They specialize in different types of apprenticeship. And then there are alternative training programs. So for example, if you wanted to do an apprenticeship in barbering, you would, there are different training providers. Sometimes people will cross borders into, say, New York or New Hampshire or Massachusetts to find a training program, but do their work experience part with a Vermont employer. Stepping back a little bit just to define apprenticeship, I think we often assume what people know that in a way, but it's really a great pathway for many people because it's a combination of working and learning at the same time. So in most apprenticeships, the individual is hired by a company, is paid a good wage while they are working on the job and learning as a formal apprenticeship. And that employer is also sponsoring the individual while they're completing training. So classically, you may see an individual working through the day, a full-time job often, though there are some part-time apprenticeships, and going to night classes a couple days a week. Some of the classes now are available online, which has been a great match for many people, though with some it is more important to have that hands-on touch with some education. It's hard to capture apprenticeship in just a couple of minutes because each apprenticeship is unique and special, both for that specific occupation and for the individual. So we hope that, if you're interested in this, again, connecting with your Career and Tech Ed Center, if you're in high school still, is a great pathway to then jump into it formally post-high school. Talking with employers in the area, connecting with one of us, connecting directly with a college or with the Vermont Department of Labor are all ways that you can get started in a pathway like this. Okay. But short-term training can mean a lot of different things. Another term that you'll often hear now is credential of value, which can mean a lot of different things. They're both ways of expressing how to get some training to help you towards your career goals. And because it often feels like this great big pile of information, we thought it might be helpful to just break it down a little bit further to where you can find these and categorize them a little bit better. So for some people, it might mean an individual class. So I might be working in an office and need to grow my computer skills. I can upskill by taking maybe a Microsoft Office class or a Photoshop class, or there are a million of them out there specific to an individual's needs. There are short-term trainings that lead to licensure. So a couple of examples that are pretty common that we see, the LNA or licensed nursing assistant is a short-term training that leads directly to working with individuals, oftentimes in a hospital setting or a assisted living facility or in a nursing home to help people. Or another example would be the CDL, commercial driver's license. That's another type of short-term training that leads to licensure. And then the next level up, a little bit more time towards them, are different certificate programs. A certificate program is typically a year or less in length that leads you to a certificate or a credential of value, again, that can help you towards a career goal. A great example are those early college plus that were just highlighted. Those are available for high school students through Early College Plus, but they are also some of the many certificate programs available, for example, through Community College of Vermont, and we're going to be talking about some of those a little bit more. And because it can feel kind of like, oh, this pile of, does this fit in this category or that category, or what is my pathway? Often what we like to express is that there are many paths towards goals, and it depends on you individually and your goal. And often there are a few paths you can choose from to get yourself there. So this can show how complicated, but also how I believe any move in training sets you on a path towards a great goal. So whether you are in a career in technical education center, or doing a traditional high school program or an alternative high school program. There are paths from there. You can go right from one into career, or you can go right from one into many of these different training pathways: apprenticeship to career, certificate to career, or certificate to another degree, or associate's degree to career. There are many ways. The important piece is that it's the right pathway for you. And then we wanted to pull it down a little bit further and express what that might look like for a specific industry. You may hear terms such as stackable credentials or career pathways. Again, that's part of the, the title for today's full series. But in healthcare, such a great example of how there are so many different trainings, so many different stackable credentials that are available in community training centers, or in our community college system, or in our technical college, or a combination of those together, depending on you, your goals, which may be immediate, which may be over 10 years. There are pathways for you. So for example, a very common entry point into healthcare is that LNA, licensed nursing assistant. You can stop there, and many people are very happy. It's a great pathway. It's a great occupation. Many people build off of it as well. A very common next step is phlebotomy, or becoming a medication nursing assistant for some enhanced medication distribution while you're in that role. Many people then will move on to exploring a next level, the medical assistant, which is a 1-year certificate, and have a focus area in that of doing either administrative, working in an office in a hospital setting, or the clinical side, doing more patient care. Sometimes they'll move on to more medical billing and coding. There's also the LPN, licensed practical nurse, registered nurse. So these are some very common pathways. But boy, there are so many other stackable layers that an individual could do if they want to. So it's a pretty exciting field to think about healthcare and all of the opportunities for people. Now we're going to break it down a little bit further. So as Holly and I have mentioned, there are short-term trainings that are available through Vermont's colleges and then through some other training programs. So Holly, I believe this is where I turn it over to you, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's available in Vermont's colleges.
Mute. Thanks, Suzie. Yes. So
sorry about that. There we go.
Yeah. So again, we're talking short-term training, and oftentimes people think maybe that doesn't relate to college, but our state college system is a kind of a repository for many different opportunities for Vermonters that do not necessarily include getting any college degree. It can include just taking individual classes. You want to brush up on a program, that some computer tech program for your work, for your job. You can take one class. You can register and get credit for that class. And again, that class can then be part of your training, your resume, and also potentially you can build on it later. There are training programs that will lead to acquiring a license to do a specific job, and of course the certificate programs. So all of our Vermont state colleges have programs that students can take advantage of in Vermont, Vermonters can take advantage of. And here is the comprehensive list, we love this slide, of their certificate programs. They have grown. The opportunities for Vermonters and people who come out from outside of Vermont even. But the opportunities at our state college system have exponentially grown over the last few years, or the last several years. So this is a list of the programs that you can now. Somebody was asking earlier in the chat about medical assistance programs. Here we see that there's medical billing and coding, pharmacy tech is a new one. Funeral director is fairly new. You can see that some can be done fully online. There's several that are in the digital media and the tech sector. So there's something for almost everyone to get kind of started if they want to start with a work certificate at CCV.
I see we have a raised hand. I believe his name is Reed. I'm not sure. Can you unmute yourself, Reed? You're welcome to ask your question.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. I was wondering if there might be a certificate program in criminal justice or anything like that.
Good question. So on the list at CCV, it's not here, but again, I know that there's a program at Castleton University in criminal justice, and I know that there are prerequisites that one might need to take before they get a degree in criminal justice, but just a certificate, I don't believe, unless somebody else on this call. How about welding and fire science? I don't know as if that there is a certificate per se in criminal justice, but again, there's ways to sort of work up to it incrementally. Does that answer your question, or Suzie? Do you have
it does.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some careers it can be difficult for just a certificate level to meet the requirements for, because you may be competing against somebody, even if you did get a certificate, who has the associate's or bachelor's degree. So they may require that higher level of training. Another thought I have, like Jennifer in the chat asked about welding and fire science. There's a program up in the Burlington area, I believe, which is welding, which is very popular for many students to go to. Being down in the southeast corner of Vermont, we often will look at some of our neighboring states as well. I love our Vermont institutions as well, but being in New England, it's pretty incredible. All of the different opportunities that are out there. And for example, you may know, Holly, about fire science in Vermont, but I believe it's Southern Maine Community College, which has a pretty incredible program, which often is a draw for students as well. Do you have any other thoughts about those questions, Holly?
I think, again, like some of these can maybe be acquired in the state of Vermont through an apprenticeship route. In our local area, that there are employers that need welders, and that where you could learn some basic skills. And also our CTEs, our career and technical centers, have programs. I know our one in Wyndham County has a program that focuses on fire science, and adults can join those programs. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, for younger people that I work with, I personally, most of them, to get a certification, to get an associate's degree in these areas of welding and fire science, typically do go to the University of Southern Maine, which is a very affordable institution, and some neighboring welding institutes. But if you need any more information about that, Jennifer, we can let you know. Okay. So that's CCV. You can see the comprehensive list. And Vermont Technical College, oh my, has this robust department, the Continuing Education and Workforce Development Department. And again, they're holding in home to an incredible array of certificate training and short-term training programs. This is a list, but in this list, it can be broken down into further and more opportunities. So when you get the resource page at the end, it will link to this Vermont Technical College Certificate Programs. Remember it, if you can go to it, link to it, Vermont Tech Certificate Programs and Workforce Development. And you'll be surprised. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. There were some things on this website, on this webpage that were really interesting. Butchering, you can get a certificate in butchering. You can get a certificate or training. There are boot camps, what's called boot camps. So they're smaller sort of weekend intensives where you learn the art of whatever it is they're presenting. There's some IT boot camps, so technical computing boot camps just to refresh your skills. Again, there's boot camps in butchery, boot camps in I think it's brewing, home brewing. What's that called? What's the terminology? Home brewing and cannabis production. So they're trying to sort of look at the careers that are, you know, up and coming in Vermont, or areas where people need further training, or areas that will lead to really good jobs after you've completed the programs, and meeting the needs of Vermonters. And I really recommend you to look at this site, because I've been working in this field for a while, and I was kind of surprised and delighted to see that there are many additions to our options out there for our students. And then the Vermont State College system in general, and some of our Vermont colleges, such as Champlain, they have, again, areas where UVM continuing education, areas where you can just get started. Like, you know, you definitely want to do nursing, or you definitely, our student knows that they definitely want to eventually do criminal justice. How can you get started? You can start by taking classes at one of the universities. You can start by you know, just exploring the certificate options at our colleges in Vermont. We talked about the Vermont State College, the VTC certificates, but the Vermont State College system itself has a website. And on that website, you're going to be able to link to all of the college programs in the state of Vermont that are offering certificates, trainings, classes for adults and adult learners. So again, there's so much out there. And I think our job here, Suzie, is to overwhelm people with all there is to discover and all there is to know. But again, if anything just sort of sparks your interest, hopefully you can do some further explanation.
Well, speaking of a lot of information, we thought it might be helpful to just pause for a minute here. If people do have some questions about anything that we've covered so far, feel free to write them in the chat or raise your hand. After this pause, we're going to be covering other short-term training like community centers. There's so many other things out there. We'll be covering that. And again, then we'll be taking a few minutes to cover financial aid. Any questions at this point, or people feeling great about moving forward? Oh, it looks like somebody may have missed the old chat.
We have a few questions. So, you know, the slideshow being shared, and I believe we will be able to do that. We have a person in charge of our whole events this whole day, Anna Talinsky, and she's so good at getting information and resources out there to people. So we do think that it will be shared with you. Definitely it will be posted on the website, the recording, and as well as the PowerPoint itself. And another one is getting started on an electrical apprenticeship program. Is that question still?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts on that one.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's usually two main ways that people will do that. There are many electricians in Vermont. I mean, it's one, they say almost every electrician is looking for an apprentice. It's a high demand field. So one approach that people take is actually looking in their community, talking to friends and neighbors, finding an electrician that has a good reputation and talking to that electrician about the possibility of becoming an apprentice with them. That is often a great way to find a fit. Another way to approach it is to speak directly to the Vermont Department of Labor's Workforce Development Division. They have a few people in Vermont who specifically work in apprenticeship, and they keep a list of Vermont employers that are looking for apprentices. And so you can contact them and they can give some recommendations of employers in your area that may be a good fit for you. So that's another way to approach it. The training for the electrician apprentices in Vermont goes through Vermont Technical College. So they also have a person there that you can contact and speak with. And that can also be a great way to network, gain a little bit about the experiences that other apprentices have had. There are, just like with any occupation, there are focus areas. So you may personally be more interested in commercial work or residential work, newer homes, older homes, specializations, solar energy focus areas. You may want to take a thought about where that field is moving in the future and how you want to connect with that for your career. But again, I'm happy to speak with you afterwards if you want to reach out to me to help make any of those connections.
I just want to tell everybody that I put a link in the chat. If there's anything you want to click on here, it's probably this link that I just posted, which is our resource page. I'm posting it. I was going to post it at the end, but I posted it sooner so you can check it. Hopefully those will be active links, most of the links that we've presented here in this workshop. But I'm going to have us move on, Suzie, because we need to cover the rest of our content before we end.
All right, so I'm going to jump in and talk about some of those other short-term trainings in Vermont. And like within the college centers, you will find that in our large assortment of public and private training institutions, that's where you can also access individual classes, short-term trainings which lead to licensure, industry recognized credentials. So again, multiple paths towards the goal that you're trying to reach. One of the more popular pathways is to look at the Vermont Career and Technical Education Centers. So we covered those a little bit for high school students, but there are many offerings for adult students as well in our Career and Technical Education Centers. There are 16 around Vermont. They're each unique. So just because you're sure about what's happening in the one in your backyard doesn't mean something else isn't available in another center, because there's a lot of diversity here, a lot of different offerings. I am most familiar with our Windham Regional Career Center and the River Valley Tech Center because they're ones that I have a lot of students who work with. Just a quick overview. Some adults are interested in connecting with the high school program that's actually happening. So they do have opportunities. If there are slots open, say in the automotive technology program, the construction program, where you want to take their level 1 or level 2, if they have an opening, you can tuition in. So there is a cost associated because there's some value with it, but that's one of the opportunities. Many of these centers also offer hands-on classes after hours. So they offer specific adult courses. And again, those vary. Licensed nursing assistance classes are very popular at many of the centers. One or two of them offer more of the, you can see like a CDL training through them as opposed to going through one of our CDL training schools. They are varied. Many offer computer trainings, which are really valuable. And then one of my favorite things that happens with these centers is they are one of our connection points to the Ed2Go system. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Ed2Go in a minute, but I'll just put that little plug there. This is a pathway to Ed2Go courses. And again, when you get these slides, these are hyperlinked as well, so you can dig in and see what each center is offering. One of the challenges and resources in Vermont is that we have so many training programs. But it's hard to find out what they all are. There's not a place for one-stop shopping. And there have been a number of different organizations that have tried to capture and put it in one place, and it feels like an almost impossible task because there's so much variety. It's difficult to categorize them. But these are some places where you can find out a lot about what's happening. One of my favorites is the one on top there. It's called the Vermont WIOA, which stands for Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Eligible Training Provider List. So this is created by the Vermont Department of Labor's Workforce Development Division. They maintain a list of short-term training programs that meet some good basic criteria for quality and employment outcomes. So these are some vetted programs. The list is 30 some odd pages long. It is big. It includes information regarding the location, the name of the school, the cost, and the associated credential. I also like that the word WIOA is in the name, because WIOA is another program we'll touch on a little bit later. I know we're going to be running short on time, but it can provide, you'll see that noted on the funding side. Sometimes they have funding for students to help cover the cost of trainings. Here's the Ed2Go that we mentioned quickly. Ed2Go is a national-based online training program with hundreds of classes. The Ed2Go site is linked through our career and tech ed centers. Also, Vermont Technical College.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm going to try.
A 5-minute warning. Oh, I don't know
Okay.
if you saw that. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you, Holly.
Of course.
Okay, so then just quickly, our Vermont State Library is such an overlooked resource. They have universal classes, over 500 of them. They are free for all library users. Amazing what is listed in there. A lot of great surprises. And it looks small at the bottom, career focused programs. There are so many. Vermont has many specific career trainings. For example, centers that just do commercial driver's license, just do massage therapy, construction trades and building, computer focused courses. There are so many of them out there. It's incredible. And again, we can help you with connecting with some more of those if you're interested. All right. And I think this is where we transition back to you, Holly, to talk about grants and scholarships.
Well, yeah, we could definitely do that with at Vermont, at VSAC, our main mission is to really help students figure out how to pay for their higher education, post-secondary, I should say, goals. So whatever they do after high school can be free unless you go to a private high school. How do you pay for what comes next? And VSAC's whole mission is about that. So vsac.org, we have grants for students going on traditional college. We have, or I shouldn't say traditional, but 4-year or 2-year associate's degree related programs. We have non-degree programs and the advancement grant to help people with certificate programs and training programs. We have scholarships. We have a scholarship booklet that applies to students going on to post-secondary and higher ed and non-higher ed. Curtis Credentials of Value. These are scholarships that go through the VSAC counselors. Suzie would be a good contact person for that. Some are related to high school students, and I can help you with that. So vsac.org. and paying for college, has all these resources, and we are here to help you figure it out. That's the other thing, is that connect with us, connect with counselors, connect with VSAC, the grants department, the scholarships department. We're here to just answer any questions you might have. That's what I love about VSAC, is we're here for Vermonters, you know, so there are people on the other end. If you can wait through the recorded messages, you get somebody who's really looking out for you. So use us as a resource. Yeah, do you want to talk about these?
Yeah, I'll talk about this one, and I'll try to do it super fast.
I'm gonna put our contact in the chat as you do that.
Thank you, Holly. So there are many partner organizations around Vermont that also help with funding for training. WIOA, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, through the Vermont Department of Labor, is an excellent resource for short-term training. They also have some great direct links to employers who are seeking employees right now and can help with some wonderful matchmaking at the same time. Higher Ability Vermont is the new name for what was known as Voc Rehab Vermont. They assist any Vermonter who has a disability around reaching their employment goals, and a big piece of that is support with training. The Veterans Administration has amazing resources as well. Here in Vermont, we're happy to help anybody connect with that resource. Reach Up to support single parents who are looking to re-enter the workforce or upskill. And I say additional resources. There are many great local resources, grants, scholarships, community organizations who are working around this and have some great resources. And back to you, Holly.
Whoops, was that just direct? Okay, well, I think to conclude, wait a minute. I don't know if everybody got my, yes, I think everybody got our emails. So money is coming down and into Vermont through, partly through the CARES Act and pandemic related relief money. So there have been programs created to help get Vermonters back to Vermont, to enable students to continue and finish a degree if they missed out and left halfway. Some of these programs are in transition and in flux, meaning that they may no longer exist, but new ones could come up and replace it. So this is a list of some of the programs that were made available to Vermonters. Many of them we're hoping will continue. One note too is that the Vermont State College system is combining 4 of its campuses. So Northern Vermont University, Linden, which is Linden and Johnson, Vermont Technical College, and Castleton University are going to be combining into one university with their satellite campuses in place. So their opportunities are still, they're still going to be there. They're still going to have their independent spirit, but money is coming through, and we only are just learning about some of the opportunities out there.
So I'm hearing that we need to finish up because we are out of time and you all have another session to go to. So in conclusion, there are great opportunities out there. There's amazing financial assistance. I know we didn't give that much justice because there's so much more to say. And there are people and agencies eager to help you with next steps. So we hope this helps you connect with some next resources. Please contact us. We'd love to help some more and connect with that resource page. Holly has placed it in the chat. You'll be followed up with some links after all of these sessions today as well. We don't have any more time for questions, but again, reach out to us. We're happy to help. Okay, and here's some contact information. Thank you all so much for attending. It was great to meet you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much.